Hello, everybody. Hope you're all doing well. I was gonna turn that down for myself. So, welcome back, obviously, to yet another Grisaia stream. Look at that. Like I said, I was turning today's a little while ago. Like I said, I was turning today's morning Gundam stream into an afternoon Grisaia stream. Making up for it. Especially now that we have the new mic. We got no problems with that. Also, don't mind me if I'm chewing on Pocky. I got a single box of Pocky yesterday. I should have grabbed more, but meh. God, this stuff is good. Yeah, so we are going to be continuing with Grisaia today. Just continuing on through the wonderful, I guess main route, focusing on Yuji's past. When we kind of left off, it showed their home life after his sister had died and how it kept deteriorating, his dad becoming more and more openly abusive to him and his mother. With his mom taking Yuji and running away twice. Once it lasted about, like, maybe 2 weeks. The second time, a whole year before he finally found him, and then forced himself on his mother. To make another golden child. Which is really fucked up. That's about where we left off last time, because it was really, oh, damn it. Really uncomfy, I will say. It was just very, very uncomfy. Sorry, I really like this stuff. So yeah, we are just going to be, well, obviously, continuing through. And seeing where it takes us. Blatant content warning all around for the game. Obviously. It's Grisaia. Where's my chat? 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 Where are you? There we go. Alright, weird. I'll do the content warning again. There we go. That was weird that it just didn't want to load up. So yes, Labyrinth of Grisaia deals with some very heavy topics and situations. If at any moment you feel uncomfortable watching and need to walk away or close the stream, please do so. We all understand. Sorry, I'm really into this Pocky right now. So we're going to continue on. See how far we can get today. So without much further ado, let's just jump right in. And again, let me know if I'm too loud, the game is too loud, too quiet, all that fun jazz. I think we have the levels for the mic and everything set now, so we should be solid. So, yeah. When I opened my eyes again, about an hour had passed. The room had grown dim and my vision was blurry. I could only just make out my mother. She was lying perfectly still, her body bruised and battered. I'll kill him. A flash of white-hot anger ran through me. In an instant, the passive thought, I wish he'd just die, had transformed into a concrete urge to kill. Stand up. Fight back. Nothing was ever going to change if we kept running away. Nothing was ever going to change unless I changed myself. No matter how bitter reality might be, I had to face it. I had to fight back. There was no other choice. Kill him. Kill him. Kill him. Kill him. As the words rang out like a siren inside my mind, I reflexively reached out and took the bottle of alcohol, still sitting on the floor where I'd left it. Fierce anger pulsed through me until it felt like my head would burst. And cutting through it all, I thought I heard my sister's voice.
文字を書いたり箸を持つのは右。ボールを投げたりバッターボックスに立つときは左。
Oh. Oh.
じゃあ、人を殺すときはどっちの手？
Of course she would say that at some point.
Yes, we all agree. Baron is an idiot.
Hey, Nevermore, how's it going? With my right hand, I lifted the bottle over my father, and then swung it down onto the back of his head as hard as I could. A jarring impact ran through my arm as glass met skull. With a tremendous crashing sound, the bottle shattered against my father's head. And yes, that was needed to hear you react on the new mic. Well, did it pass? Is it good? Is it fine? Sorry, I like my Pocky. Oh. Yep, sure is. Might have to redeem us, get to try out other voices on it. We'll worry about that later. Another time, probably. Covered in alcohol and jagged fragments of glass, my father let out a few loud groans, then went still. Oh, Christ. Mom? Mom, are you okay? Come on, get up. We have to get out of here. Yeah, mega content warning, guys. I tried to pull her toward the door, but she didn't move. Her face was swollen, covered in vicious dark red bruises, and her eyes were dull and unfocused.
Yu-chan.
That was the name my mother used to call me when I was much, much younger. It was pretty girly, so I didn't really like it at the time. Sometimes it even made me think Mom wanted a girl instead. I remember getting angry every time she used it. Did he just unalive his dad? Well, he hit him over the back of the head with a bottle. So at the very least, he's probably knocked out for a short while. Mom, let's get out of here, okay? This time, we'll go somewhere really far away.
So ne. また逃げなきゃね。
Hey, Nick, how's it going? In response to my voice, Mom's mouth curved into a weak, strangely resigned grin. Somehow it wasn't quite the same as her usual forced smile.
でもどこまで逃げればいいんだろうね。
She's given up.
いつまで逃げればいいのかしら。
As she mumbled those words, her gaze turned to my father, lying quietly on the ground with his back turned to us. He hadn't even twitched since the blow to his head. Good, I missed last stream because birthday plans. Oh shit, was it your birthday? Was it literally your birthday? Also, no worries about missing streams ever. I don't ever have to worry about that. Brothers? Okay. Well, happy birthday to your brother. Excuse me.
ごめんね。ゆうちゃんは足が速いから走って逃げなさい。私はこの人が私たちを追ってこれないようにするから先に逃げなさい。お母さん後から行くから。
Mom slowly picked her battered body up off the floor. Taking a small drawstring bag, she slipped in our bank book and seal, added the cash left in her wallet, then hung it around my neck. All the money we'd been saving little by little was in that bank account.
これが私たちの全財産。なくさないようにしっかり持っているのよ。ほら、
let Nightbot.
早く逃げなさい。
Let Nightbot do what Nightbot's gonna do. I can make him dance, but I can't control him. So she wants Yuji to run away with all the money they have. Run? To where? Her mouth again pushing itself into a grin. Mom tilted her head absent-mindedly.
そうね。とりあえず駅かな。
As she mumbled those words, her eyes staring vacantly up at the ceiling, I thought I could smell the reek of death wafting from her body. My mother seemed to be gazing into some far-off place. A place outside the world. I swallowed a wad of spit. It felt like a rock in my throat.
大丈夫？ゆうちゃん、一人で行ける？
The question frightened me for reasons I didn't understand. I nodded my head vigorously. It's fine. I'm not a kid anymore. I can go on my own. When I spoke those words, my mother's face bloomed into a pure, genuine smile.
そっか。だったら一人で頑張って。ほら、もう行きなさい。
It was an innocent expression, a 10-year-old girl's smile. Another jolt of instinctive fear ran through me. I burst out the door and took off toward the station. I ran, trying to escape my own terror. It followed. I could almost hear its footsteps tapping steadily behind me. I ran desperately, gulping down air, the world a blur, until finally I was in front of the station. After catching my breath, I sat down on a bench to wait for my mother. Reaching up into the drawstring bag around my neck, I squeezed it tightly in my hand. A powerful wave of anxiety pressed down on my chest. What were we going to do now? It's fine. We'll figure something out. I wasn't really convinced of that. But forcing myself to think, it'll all work out somehow, was the only way I could keep the fear from crushing me under its weight. I sat there completely alone, listening to the shrill cries of the insects. By the time I looked up at the clock mounted on the side of the station building, it was already past 7. The air was starting to grow uncomfortably cold. Just as I was beginning to regret not taking my jacket, an ambulance screamed by on the road in front of the station. The startling wail of the siren instantly fanned the flames of my anxiety. Dad must be dead. It wouldn't be surprising. After all, I hit him as hard as I could. I was trying to kill him. I'd murdered my own father. And then I'd run away and left my mother behind, all by herself. What good am I if I can't protect Mom at a time like this? Why was I even born? Throwing myself up off the bench, I set out at a sprint back toward our house. Hold on, Mom. I'm coming. My mother was a weak person. When Kazuki was alive, she'd been indifferent to me. But I wouldn't exist without her. She gave birth to me. She took me with her when she ran. I owed her everything. If I ran away now, I'd regret it for the rest of my life. Called it this stream, and last stream I said he was going to unalive his dad. Well, looks like he did. Now, what's going to happen with his mom? I wonder. Much, much more than having killed my own father. I rushed down the familiar streets that led to our house, wanting nothing more than to see my mother again. Just like that day, when I'd sprinted all the way to the canning factory to meet her after work. I ran. There was an ambulance sitting in front of her house. Many onlookers had gathered around it. Voices forced their way into my ears. Stabbed him with a kitchen knife. Apparently it was a murder-suicide. Oh, good fuck. Oh. Oh. So he at the very least hit his dad hard enough to either kill him or knock him out enough, and the mom just killed him, made sure he was dead, and then killed herself after. Jesus. I heard they found a note? Renting a house just to kill yourself in it? Honestly, a nuisance right to the very end. With every whisper, my heart throbbed painfully in my chest. Sorry. As I elbowed my way through the crowd, some of the people from the neighborhood noticed me and raised their voices in alarm. Ignoring their completely superficial words of concern, I made my way to the front door. A man in an EMT vest stopped me. As I struggled to get past him, two other paramedics made their way outside, carrying a stretcher covered in a white sheet. A man's arm was hanging limply out the side. A cheap gold watch glinted dully on his wrist. Dad really is dead. I killed him. I murdered someone. I murdered my father. I killed him with my own hands. For an instant, the world went dark before my eyes. These characters were all of them have the most tragic backstories and contestants of a reality TV show. Oh god, yeah. You're so right. Dad's corpse was being hauled out of our house like a pile of junk. He died a miserable, undignified death. It was a shock, but at the same time, I felt strangely calm. I was watching strangers carry my father's body away. And yet, I felt neither sadness nor pity. It was exactly what he deserved. Now we'd finally be safe. Those were the only thoughts that came to mind. The reality of his death hadn't really sunk in. My emotions were spinning around so violently that the centrifugal force had carried off all empathy, leaving a cold vacuum behind. The faint sound of creaking wood slipped through my ears and echoed in the emptiness of my mind. What's that noise? Oh, good God, God, oh God, oh God, oh God, oh God. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. And where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? I don't know how much it's going to show, so I'm just going to pack it away, guys. Yep, I don't think you guys need to see that. Yeah. She is in the exact position you believe she is right now. I don't need the slow pan, so yeah, she is hanging, so content warning again, I'm going to bring it back. So here, yeah, it's coming back now. And so be prepared. There, yeah. The next thing I saw as I stood stock still in the doorway was my mother, hanging from a beam in the ceiling. Even dangling from a rope with her back turned to me, I recognized her instantly. She looked just as she had when I'd bolted out the house. The paramedic had his arm around my shoulders. He was trying to drag me out of there. But my eyes were fixed on my mother's corpse, and my feet were rooted to the floor. Oh, God. Another EMT in the room was reaching up to my mother to try and lower her from the ceiling. As he grabbed her leg, my mother's body suddenly turned on the rope. Her wide-open eyes met mine. My legs turned to water. Oh, good fuck. Please, do not give us a close-up of that. Please, do not give us a close-up of that. Okay, that's fine. Right button? Yeah. At first, I couldn't comprehend what I was seeing. The person who had been my mother was now a thing, an inanimate object. Some part of me probably understood that, but I didn't know how to process it. The first thing I felt wasn't grief or pity. It was simply terror. Far stronger than any I'd ever known. Hey, PJ, how's it going? Gonna warn you right now, big content warning. We literally started this off with, like a murder-suicide. So, just to forewarn you. Yeah. Just to warn you. I'll stay for now, but I might leave. I don't think the scene will last too much longer, I don't think. Hopefully. But we'll see. I hope you're doing well otherwise. I'm not voice acting right now. My throat is just not into it. To do a ooh-ah scream. Good chilling? Nice, nice. If this is how it was going to end, we never should have run away in the first place. If this is what was waiting for me, I never should have come back. But I never imagined it could end like this. Not in my worst nightmares. When I closed my eyes, I could feel the contents of my head spinning violently in circles. No, it was the world that was spinning. I was frozen in the very center of hell, and the earth was rotating around me. The world spun, lurching on its tilted axis. Round and round and round. My sister could keep her balance no matter how the world swayed. But she was gone. True despair is a strange thing. It smothers you so completely that you can't even recognize what you're feeling is despair. Round and round and round and round. My eyes wouldn't stop spinning. It was making me sick. Oh no, it's just... I thought it's just not up to it today. That's all. It's just really not up to it. I lost consciousness on the spot.
Oi, 大丈夫か君? しっかりしろ!
The paramedics took me into custody and brought me to the hospital. Later, the policeman who came to question me in my bed told me that my mother had left a message behind. After convincing me to run away, she'd written a note stating, "I murdered my husband, then took her own life." And at the very end of that note, she left me her usual apologies. Why did it turn out like this? What did we do to deserve any of this? I'm sorry, Yu-chan. I'm so sorry. Those are my weak-willed mother's final words, written in the last moment before her fear of reality overwhelmed her fear of death. The policeman told me that my parents' death was being considered a murder-suicide, motivated by their overwhelming debts. The paper in my hand was stained with my parents' blood. As I stared down at it, filled with self-loathing at my utter powerlessness, I felt something inside me snap and break. Alright, we're back to the present. Again, for those that are not caught up, this is the main character, focus character, Yuji, in the middle of like a job promotion in his sort of kind of shady government job where he's definitely an assassin. He's having a meeting for a promotion, an interview, and he's got to go through his past because they want to know about it. Or at least some professor downstairs wants to know about it. Everything. So he's retelling all of this to his boss. At least we get a little bit of a reprieve. So that's how I became an orphan. Can I get my paycheck now? What's with the long face? None of this is exactly news to you.
知ってはいても、こうして本人から直接聞けば、改めて複雑な気分になるわ。
I don't think a family tragedy or two is anything out of the ordinary in our company. What a fucked up interview. I don't know, that's just part of it, I guess. He wants his promotion, they're just going through his history. He had to write it out himself. They're just seeing if, based off of his history and actions and in the past and stuff, could influence his future, I assume, in this higher position. That's my guess.
まあ確かにそうなんだけれど、こうしてみると 不幸の塊が服着て歩いてるような男ね、あなた。
You're going a little overboard there. Back then, I thought God hated me in particular, and I grew out of that eventually. Misery's not exactly hard to find, you know? And everyone gets their share eventually. I just happen to get a whole lot of it in a row, that's all.
それは今のあなただからそう思えるというだけのことよ。私とあなたが初めて会った時のこと覚えてる？
Let's see. Not that clearly, to be honest.
じゃあ次はその辺の話を思い出しながら進めましょうか。コーヒーのおかわりは？
Sure. Alright, back to the girls. Who, again, are reading through this themselves because they found the shredded remains of his, like, drafts to write this fucking thing. And due to their special nature, they managed to piece it together. So now they get to find out all about his fucked up past before they met him. I'm not surprised they're all speechless.
あのさ、ちょっといい？あいだなんか喋りなさいよ。だってこんな有事こんな
Hamana's gonna blame herself the most for the shit that happened. Just because she knew fucking Kazuki. And blames herself for her dying. So she's gonna blame herself the most for this. Like, if I could have helped his sister more and gotten her out of there, none of that would have happened to him. That's what's floating through her mind right now. Tell her as many times as you want, you can't blame yourself for this. She's gonna blame herself for this. Nope, I don't have the game. There we go. See? Yep. Yeah, she blames herself big time.
いや、別にそういうこと喋れって言ってるわけじゃなくて、つか泣かないでよ。私が泣かしたみたいじゃないのよ。サチ、あんたもなんか喋りなさいよ。と申されましても。なんでもいいのよ。なんか喋れ。なんか喋れというと、インドの神様か何かでしょうか。
Oh my fucking god.
なんでやねん。もうサチったら母の歯。
Michiru, I get what you're trying to do, but just stop. Just stop. It's not helping.
松島さん、そんなに無理に空気を明るくしようとしないでいいのよ。だって私はツンデレだから。
Pseudo tsundere. Get it right.
ラムネの食いすぎで頭飛んでんのか
Those aren't candies, that's her medication. Oh god.
本当にだきゃ言われたくね
Lady bro, read the room. She's trying. She's trying to, you know, get everyone to focus again. Like, just to not dwell on it and be a little more cheerful. She's trying. Give her that. She's trying.
静かにしなさい。シュビバジェ。それにしても情報としてある程度は知っていたし、それなりに想像はしていたけれど、思った以上にハードな過去ね。親の死を見ちゃうってのはかなりきついのよさ。私なんかもまだたまに夢に見るしな。立ち直るのに5年はかかるのよさ。
Where's the other Michiru when needed? It's probably not her turn to take over. Because, again, we're going under the assumption he managed to solve all of their problems and help them, help themselves, but he just never got with them. So presumably other Michiru is, around and here, but it's just not her, day to take over. So she's just kind of sitting quietly in the background. And there we go. Makina saying, yeah, I watched my own dad die. It ain't pleasant.
私が和樹を見捨てて逃げたからユージの人生がめちゃくちゃに浜根のせいじゃないじゃん。あんたそうやって何でも私が悪いで解決するのやめなよ。それは言い過ぎよ松島さん。私はこういう暗い空気嫌なのよ。ごめんねみちる。ありがとう。
Sorry, I just gotta text something quick.
でもこの後は師匠とかいう人に引き取られてそれなりに楽しい生活ってやつをしてるんだよね。
You're making a big assumption there.
いいえ、残念だけれど。あ、私聞いたことある。確かお兄ちゃんのパパの知り合いの人に引き取られたんだよね。表向きにはね。裏向きがあるってこと？
Oh dear.
そう。表向きには孤児となった風見雄二を引き取ったのは父親の知人で美術品の貿易商を営んでいる桐原玲という男。でもその正体は世界中の紛争地に兵器を販売する武器商人というか、テロリストだったという噂ね。
Okay, that took a turn. Taken in by a terrorist.
マジでか。つか風見雄二はどんだけ不幸になれば気が済むのよさ。というか、どうして雄二はそんな人に？
Good question.
そこまでは私も知らないわよ。簡単な資料をもとに独自で調べただけだし。その桐原なる人物が男色癖と言いますか、少年愛に傾倒していらっしゃったからではないでしょうか。ちょっとサーチ、あんた突然何言ってんのよ。だいたい何を根拠に？
Just trying to think of any other reason why an international terrorist would want a small child.
昔のゆうくんはそれはもうびっくりするぐらい可愛かったですから。いやまあ、あんたの思い出の中のユージが美化されてるのは別にいいんだけれど。
Alright, nevermore, no worries. You enjoy the Barbie movie.
いくらなんでもそんな理由で子供を引き取ったりしないんじゃん。
Oh, you'd be surprised, Michiru.
では続きを読みますか？ええ。こちらについ今しがた復元が完了した資料の続きがあります。これをお読みになられますかとお尋ねしているのですが、どうされますか
？Yeah, do you I would not continue reading. Personally, I would not continue reading. Hell, I wouldn't even want to read it in the first place.
皆さん黙ってしまわれました。 どうかしましたか？
Sachi, it's fucked up.
いや、だってね、自称ムードメーカーのみちる様がそんなことでどうしますか？わかりました。ではこの重たい空気を入れ替えるべく、この小峰幸がギャグを一つ。
Huh?
ギャグ？このタイミングで？はい。ではマキちゃん直伝の似ているシリーズから一つ。似ている。マクワウリとマノクワリは似ている。
What?
は？ごめんよ、サッチ。普段の私なら大爆笑したと思うけど、さすがに今は笑えないのよさ。
What was even the joke? What was even the joke? Pretty sure we've been over this a million times before, but I'll summarize for the record. After killing my father and driving my mother to suicide, I was taken in by a man named Kirihara Ray, a fine art dealer who'd known my parents. But I think you know more about Kirihara's real identity than I do, right?
ええ、もちろん知っているわ。
I met an interesting man today. I remember my father telling me that one night when he came home drunk and unusually cheerful. He'd been introduced by the editor of a quarterly fine arts magazine to a man named Li Shang, although he went by Kirihara Ray in Japan. Kirihara was an art dealer with strong connections in many countries, with numerous celebrities and influential politicians as clients. I met him well before my family fell apart. Not long after the name Kazumi Kazuki began to spread through the world of Japanese art, the man paid a sudden visit to our home to see her work.
すみません、桐原先生。わざわざご足労いただきながら、あいにくと和樹はまだ学校から帰宅しておりませんで。
いえいえ、こちらこそ突然の訪問で申し訳ありません。以前から一度は実物をこの目で直接拝見してみたいと思っていましたね。今日は本物を見ることができましたし、十分満足ですよ。
Okay.
ご高名な桐原先生にそう言っていただければ、こちらとしましても大変恐縮です。それでいかがでしょう。娘の絵は金になりますでしょうか。
正直な方だ。ですから私も正直に申し上げましょう。絵の価値というのはそれを欲しがる人間次第なのです。
Well, yeah, duh.
そしてもっと正直なところを申せば、私どもの扱う商品の一部はある意味価値がわからない方がありがたいのですよ。
はあ。
以前お食事をご一緒させていただいた折にもご説明させていただきましたが、私どもの仕事とは絵を買い付けただ売りさばくことではありません。買い付けた絵に付加価値をつけることがメインの仕事なのですよ。未だ無名の画家から価値の上がりそうな絵を買い付け、それを必要とする人間に高値で売却する。絵画は贈り物として最適です。買い手はいくらでもいます。
Okay. Good cover story, I guess.
例えばある種の目的を持った人物に高額で絵を売却します。
Okay.
絵を買った人物はそれをとある人物に金銭的対価を求めずに贈与します。絵を贈られた方はそれを再び私どもに買い取りを依頼し、私どもはそれを高額で買い取る。そうすることで誰もが少しだけ得をします。高級絵画とはそうして生まれるのです。
Huh.
そういう仕組みなのですよ。
Okay. Interesting way to put that.
つまりですね、私どもとしましては未だ手つかずで 価値基準の明確でない無名の画家である方がありがたいのです。ではそれこそ子供の落書きでもいいのかという話になるのですが、それはそれであからさまに過ぎる。その点お嬢さんの絵には人を引き寄せる魅力が十分にあります。今はまだ無名がゆえに買い手は限られていますが、逆に私はそこに目をつけたというわけで、つまりはお互いというやつですな。
So he takes gambles on stuff, essentially. He's finding these unknown artists, purchasing their paintings for probably a lower amount, a small amount, and then when someone wants it, charges them a higher amount. Sure, the price of it is dependent on who wants it, but if he's the first one to obtain that, he can pay whatever price he wants for it, and then sell it for whatever price he wants for it, thereby creating a market for it. Okay. That's kind of what I got from this.
それで娘の絵はだいたいいくらぐらいで買い取っていただけるのでしょうか。
買い取りは売り手のいいねです。つまりいくらにでもなるのですよ。現状この場で金額を提示するわけにも参りませんが、これは長年美術商に携わってきた私の勘でお答えするのであれば、おそらくは数千万の値がつくでしょうね。
Tens of millions. That's hundreds of thousands of dollars.
ありがとうございます。
That day, after going home at my own pace because I didn't have any friends to play with or any reason to rush back, I just so happened to overhear their conversation from the hallway. In a way, it was kind of comical to see my father submissively bowing and scraping like a grasshopper, considering his usual I am God Almighty act. But mostly, I remember thinking, is this really how adults who make a living in art talk? It was so nakedly cynical that I was too amazed to even feel disgust. Unable to bring myself to walk past the opening living room door, I stood awkwardly in the passage, waiting for the conversation to end. But somehow, Kirihara noticed my presence. He was a sharp-eyed man.
Oh yeah?
His gaze stuck to me like glue. Kirihara's eyes were calm, yet somehow they reminded me of a carnivorous animal tracking its prey. A chill ran down my spine. My tongue refused to move. It was all I could do to bow my head quickly in his direction.
こちらの少年は？
和樹の弟でユウジと申します。
おお、それはそれは。
I didn't understand what that was supposed to mean. In retrospect, there might not have been any meaning there to find. The man named Kirihara gazed down at me with appraising eyes, slipped a hand into the breast of his suit, and then one smooth motion withdrew a gleaming golden cigarette case.
Oh.
As soon as my father noticed what Kirihara was holding, he hurriedly reached into his own suit to search for a lighter.
いや、火は結構。
When he opened the lid of his case, the clear tones of a tinkling music box began to flow out from inside.
私はタバコを飲まないんだ。坊や、チョコレートは好きかい？
Smiling brightly, he took an expensive-looking piece of chocolate out of the case. Embarrassed to be offered candy by an unfamiliar adult, and discomforted by the fact that I couldn't turn him down without being rude, I felt my ears growing hot with shame. Thank you very much. As I accepted the chocolate from Kirihara, I saw my father scowl. He wasn't upset I'd taken the man's present. It seemed more like bitter disappointment that I'd come home instead of Kazuki. Unable to endure his gaze, I bowed my head a second time, then turned around and fled to my room.
Kawaii oko-san da. Kare mo e o kaku no desu ka?
I'm getting creep vibes.
いえいえ、めっそうもない。あれはそっちの才能には恵まれませんで。お恥ずかしい。
I was used to hearing my father call me that boy with derision in his voice, and to having people say, "We're not expecting anything of you," to my face. That was just how adults were. To them, children were just toys or tools. I'd resigned myself to that. And I was a useless tool. A defective plaything. Every time that man named Kirihara came to our house, he would send strange glances in my direction. Something about the way he looked at me was definitely different from the other adults I'd met so far. Even at the time, I vaguely sensed the desire in his eyes, and it made me uncomfortable. Somehow it didn't seem like the way an adult should look at a child. Yeah. Mega creep vibes. But even so, he brought me presents every time he visited, so I never really went out of my way to avoid him. I was a little too innocent for my own good.
今日のお土産もあまり気に入ってはもらえなかったかな?
Oh, good Christ. No, I really liked it.
いいさ、気にすることはない。秘密はあっても嘘はダメだ、ユージ君。私は君を知りたいんだ。
Does this fucking guy play a waiting game so he could buy up a small child? That's fucked up. As Kirihara looked down at me with cool I can't fucking read today. Condescension. With cool condescension in his eyes, I felt an instinctive twinge of fear.
君はどっちなんだろうね。子供というのはね、ユージ君。大きく2つのパターンに分類される。自由を欲しがるタイプと束縛を望むタイプ。
Bruh, no.
君はどっちなんだい?
I don't know.
なら後者だ。
Oh god. At the time, I didn't understand what Kirihara was talking about, and I wasn't interested in trying to understand. Ugh. That didn't change even after he adopted me. After... Ugh. Yeah, spit got caught in my throat. After witnessing the death of my parents, I withdrew completely into myself. When Kirihara came for me in the hospital, I was already a shell of a person. As a child with no living guardians, I didn't have much say in choosing my destination. And more importantly, I had lost the willpower necessary to even care.
よく似合うじゃないか、ユージ。
What the fuck? Excuse me?
「相変わらず無口だな、君は。まあそういう君だから私は気に入ってるんだがね。
Oh, good fuck. You really do have a face like a girl's, don't you? On a whim, Kirihara dressed me up in female clothes. Oh my god. And he liked the effect so much that from that day on, I was given nothing. Oh my god. Content warning, mega fucking content. Holy shit. What even? And did he really slap a fucking white wig on his head? Still, it was better than being beaten. Being forced to wear girls' clothing didn't bother me much. In any case, it's not like I could have resisted. A child can't survive alone. This is really fucked up. This is really screwed up, guys. I had food, I had walls and a roof over my head. My clothes were fluttery girly things, but they kept me warm enough. There wasn't any problem. Oh, no, 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 sir. No, sir. No, 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 no. Kirihara loved dressing me up like a doll and sitting me on his lap. Oh my god. Lacking the will to object, I did exactly what he wanted. Emptiness might be another word for absolute emotional overload. Even to myself, it was eerie how calm I felt. My mind was so deeply scarred that I'd lost all interest in life and death alike. No matter what happened, I just couldn't manage to care. Kirihara treated me well so long as I was obedient. I didn't say a single word, but that never seemed to make him angry. As if to compensate for my silence, Kirihara would talk constantly.
この国も本当につまらない国になったものだね。いや、それはこの国に限った話ではないか。1974年当時は世界中が楽しかった。
Why was the world of...
世界中が遊園地のようだった。
Sorry. Why was the world a fun place in 74? I listened silently to Kirihara's words, but as always, they were incomprehensible. Then again, it's not as if he seemed particularly interested in helping me understand. I was an object to him. A living toy. For Kirihara Rei, interacting with me was the equivalent of playing with a doll. As long as I kept still, didn't snarl or bare my teeth, I could sleepwalk peacefully through whatever remained of my life. It's not that I didn't understand what was going on. I simply chose to accept it. That is, until the day when my unconscious mind rebelled. Kirihara's mansion was often host to a number of adult house guests, who always seemed to be coming and going. One of those men came by on a day when Kirihara was out, taking advantage of the owner's absence to lay hands on his toy. Ugh. No. Oh, God. He was a small man, but so fat he appeared nearly circular. I never saw anything other than the crude sneer on his ugly, drooping face. There were always dark bags under his eyes. A 2-bit lowlife straight out of Central Casting. And as I discovered, he was also a genuine sadist. Oh, fuck. From what he said that day, it seems he'd had his eye on me for some time. I suppose the way I silently accepted anything and everything made me an appealing target. After warning me not to tell anyone. Hey, Mochi, I don't know why, but I'm just not getting Twitch notifications anymore. Twitch be fucked. That's all I can really say. Twitch be fucked. Also, how you doing? And also, what the fuck am I reading? He proceeded to viciously beat me, as if to vent all his accumulated frustration and rage. Oh, you're in this scene? Yes. Yes, I'm in this scene. I started the day off with the murder-suicide. Now I'm... Yeah, exactly that. Exactly that. Thank you, Nick. I'm doing bleh. Got a nasty cold right now? I'm sorry to hear, bud. Hopefully it passes by soon. Hopefully. Yeah, it's that time of year. Colds are gonna be rampant. God. Utterly selfish acts of violence directed only toward the weak and powerless. The nauseatingly unpleasant smell of high-priced cologne. The gold watch on his wrist. Everything about that man, everything he said and did and was, reminded me of my father. But yeah, Yuji's past is definitely interesting so far, isn't it? Yeah! Interesting is one way to put it. Holy fuck. Oh. The instant I realized that, memories began to flash before my eyes. I'd sealed it all away, made a conscious effort to forget. By deliberately emptying my mind, I found a kind of peace. But that man violently pulled everything back to the surface. Yuji's dad's most hated character in VNs. Oh, I could tell! I could tell! I hated the fucker! I'm glad he died. I'm glad his vice is what did him in. Bottled the back of the head. I don't remember what happened next very clearly. The man was breathing roughly, his face shining with greasy sweat. I reached out reflexively with my right hand, grabbed a nearby pen, and stabbed it into his eye. His scream rattled against my eardrums. It was a sound like the shriek of a pig on the slaughtering line, but I don't remember it inspiring any particular emotion. The only thing that mattered was the voice ringing out in my head. Kill. Isn't there anything in here I can hit him with? Catching sight of a vase full of red flowers I couldn't even name, I dragged myself sluggishly off the ground and seized it with my right hand. Have to kill him. As the man writhed in agony on the floor, clutching his ruined left eye with both hands, I struck his head with the vase. To be honest, Yuji's backstory made his behavior in the main VN much more understandable. Yeah, definitely. Jesus Christ, I'm amazed he was able to get out of that, all of this, and, you know, just be a misogynistic piece of shit. At least he can still function in society. Not well, but he can still function. The impact traveled through my arm and resounded pleasantly in my brain. It felt as if my heart itself was quivering. Basking in the sensation of hurting someone, I felt the corners of my mouth twitch upwards. A smile. Of course. I was smiling. Felt like a very long time since that had happened. At some point, I noticed the gentle tinkling of a music box. I turned toward the sound. Hirihara was standing at the door. His misogynistic tendencies to the era he was brought up in still makes me Yeah. Still, this whole thing is just Jesus fuck. When had he returned? I'd killed one of Kirihara's guests. He might get angry at me this time. Well, whatever happens, happens. I didn't care anymore. I just didn't care. As the music box tune echoed against the walls, Kirihara took a piece of chocolate from his cigarette case, silently put it in his mouth, and glanced down at the man on the floor.
殺しちゃったのかい?
For a moment, I couldn't understand the meaning of his question. Had I killed that man? That probably meant I'd be the next to die. Kirihara would kill me here and now. Oh well. What can you do? It's not like there was any point to my life in the first place. But for some reason, Kirihara was smiling. As if to say, look at the mess you've made. It was the half-hearted disapproval of a man whose beloved pet had stained the living room carpet. I already get bad vibes from this fucker. This is definitely not a good man. I mean, we already know he's a terrorist. He's probably the guy we saw at the beginning that they're all looking for. A wry, almost amused smile. Still sucking on his chocolate, Kirihara surveyed the chaotic interior of the room. When his gaze returned to me, standing there drenched in blood, he burst into raucous laughter.
やるじゃないか、ユージ。君面白いよ。
Oh. Funnily enough, one of my fave characters. Okay. Are you that afraid of death? Better to kill someone than allow yourself to die, hmm? Even with nothing to live for, you resist dying so strongly?
だがそれでいいんだよ、ユージ。君は正しい。それが人間が本来持つべき本能というやつだ。
You're not angry?
おっと、久しぶりに君の声を聞いたな。現実から逃げ出していた心が戻ってきたのかな?
Smiling, Kirihara crouched next to his guest and pressed a finger to the man's neck.
息はあるか。まあ子供の力だ、仕方ないな。
For a moment, a scowl crossed Kirihara's face, but his unnervingly perfect smile returned almost at once. Come here, Yuji. I'll give you a chocolate. Kirihara beckoned to me with his hand, then sat me down on his lap as always.
いいんだよ。別に怒ってなんかないさ。その男は私も嫌いだった。いつか暇を見て殺してやろうと思っていたが、最近私も何かと忙しくてね。
This guy's a genuine psychopath.
むしろよくやったと褒めてあげよう、ユージ。
Oh, good fuck. The man was smiling. There was real joy in his face. It was the irrepressible glee of someone who discovered an unexpected use for a toy he thought purely ornamental.
よし、ユージ、もっと勉強をしよう。きっと君は誰よりも優秀な道具になれるよ。
Yeah, definite Joker vibes. Definitely. Ooh. A superior tool?
そう。正しきものが正しく鍛え上げれば、君は立派に役に立つ。
But which Joker? Yes, that's all the answer I can give. Just yes. The man is so chaotic, he can be anything he wants. He can be calm and calculated like this, or just, you know, stark raving mad. I kind of like the cool calculating Joker a lot. But I mean, Mark Hamill's given me the joy of hearing him just laugh like an absolute madman.
それともこのまま愛玩動物のように生きていく方が気楽でいいかい？
I don't know.
だよね、君にはわからない。だから私の言う通りに少し頑張ってみておくれよ。ね？
Okay. If I was gonna make a nuisance of myself by continuing to exist, might as well try to be useful somehow. It was hard to imagine the likes of me being good for much, but it couldn't hurt to give it a try. I don't know why, I just have an odd preference for villain characters. Like, obviously as people I hate them, but I love them. Yeah, you can love a villain because they're just such a good villain. You can absolutely, you can hate them for what they're doing and shit. It's like, yeah, no, the guy's a fucking bastard. But I like how I like the portrayal. You can like villains, that's fine. Yeah, this guy, he's so calm about everything so far. That's what makes him creepy. He's too calm. He's always smiling, talking in like the same voice, same cadence, same volume about everything. Just like, oh, well, you never know how art could be. It all depends on the people who want to buy it. Then literally scenes later, oh, well, I mean, I was gonna kill that man anyway. I've just been really busy lately. Like, same fucking tone, talking about two completely different things. He has emotion, clearly, but he isn't showing anything beyond this. That's what's off-putting. He's a person, but like he's not. Perfect ability for manipulation. Like, oh my god, this man's just... Ooh. I accepted without a second thought. About a week later, Kirihara led me by hand onto a small airplane that carried us overseas. I don't know what country we landed in. All I know for sure is that it was a very cold place. In that country, Kirihara was known as Heath Oslo, and he told me to call him by that name as well. Okay, yeah, so he is the same guy from the beginning. I didn't know why, but I agreed easily enough. It's not as if I'd ever addressed him by name before, and I wasn't planning to start, so it hardly mattered either way. Oslo gave me warm clothes, then brought me by car to a desolate rural town, spreading out 1.5 kilometers in 3 directions. At the center of that T stood a small school. It was an occupational training facility that Oslo had established as a personal investment. A school where you could learn various practical skills, beginning with manufacturing. Li Sheng, Kirihara Rei, Heath Oslo. He was a man of many names and many faces. Although I had some vague idea at the time, it was only significantly later that I learned his actual profession was terrorism. The school Oslo had taken me to was nothing less than a terrorist training organization under his direct control. Having unintentionally revealed a talent for brutality, I was to receive an education in the art of murder as Heath Oslo's personal pawn.
ここには君と同じで親を亡くした子供たちがたくさんいる。みんなと仲良くするんだよ。気に入らない奴がいても殺しちゃダメだ。いいね?
What's crazy is that there's a possibility that none of those are his real name? Oh god. Literally a man of like 1,000 faces. No wonder he's so hard to catch. Okay. Just as Oslo said, there were many children of many races in that school whose circumstances were similar to mine. The majority of the students were visibly emaciated, and every one of them had the eyes of a starving animal. For the most part, the children kept their distance from each other and focused on their assignments. We were graded competitively on our performance to determine our relative talent in various fields. Our initial instruction in the use of machine tools wasn't so different from what you'd get in a real vocational school, but it wasn't long before they started us on a brutal physical training regime, and by the time we began learning how to make bombs for easily obtained materials, it was more obvious than ever that this wasn't a normal place. I'm Oslo. You wanna know how I got these scars?
学校は楽しいかい?
Yes. As ever, Oslo was busily flying around the world, but he occasionally made time to drop by and check up on me. I was Heath Oslo's pet, and there were more than a few people who begrudged me that position. Okay. In any group, those who are singled out as special will earn their share of envy no matter what the circumstances. I can understand the feeling. I'd felt the same way about the attention Kazuki earned within our family. That tension with my classmates sometimes even led to unprovoked outbursts of violence, but I had no choice other than to passively accept the situation. Within an organized group, any individual's failures are everyone's responsibility. A poor performance inconveniences everyone around you. Incompetence won't win you many friends. But the opposite's also true. The nail that sticks out gets hammered down. When it came to our training, I definitely wasn't in the former category. Since this was all I had, the only thing I was good for, I was able to concentrate fiercely on any task, and I think my results were always at least respectable. Among our numerous fields of study, marksmanship was a particular specialty of mine, especially at long range. When we trained at sniping using assault rifles, I'd sometimes earn the top daily score. I could do most things if I tried hard enough, and I always tried hard. That only added to the antipathy the others felt for me. After all, it was a school full of people who'd fallen out of society, misshapen puzzle pieces with no place in the world. In that place, the successful always inspired jealousy and hatred. Don't get full of yourself just because Oslo likes you. Rather than saying it out loud, my classmates communicated their message by taking advantage of our training to harass me. Oh, Christ. Wow, so even the one time he's able to stand out, everyone fucking hates him for it. Sniping? So what? Gun's doing all the work for you. When it's time for hand-to-hand combat training, my opponents lunged at me as soon as the instructor shouted, "Begin!" Each attack an embodiment of their spite. At the time, I was inexperienced and extremely nervous. My opponents' determined and confident movements made them appear larger than they were. Often, I misjudged their approach and took a heavy body blow right off the bat. Since I was small and inferior in physique, unless I could endure that first attack, I'd be pinned to the ground in the blink of an eye. Even worse was the time my opponent feigned a body blow and went for an elbow to the face. Oh my god. Then the thud of impact registered, stars exploded before my eyes, and my vision shut off as if someone had thrown a switch. I had time to realize I was in deep trouble, but my brain was too busy rattling around my skull to think up a plan B. Hazily holding on to consciousness, fighting to stay standing, I was rewarded by my opponent taking hold of my head and smacking his knee into my face, like some pro wrestler landing a finishing move. The shock shot through my head like a bullet. Holy Christ. Can Yuji's life just get any worse at this point? Oh my god. By the time I realized the trouble I was in, I was already feeling the ground against my cheek. And with a strange sensation of sand pushing its way into my ear hole, I realized that my opponent was grinding his foot down on my head. As my skull cracked under my classmate's shoe, our instructor finally stepped in to halt the match. After temporarily separating us, he asked if I could continue, a question to which there was only one possible answer. I stood up, wiping the blood dripping from my nose with the back of my hand. I knew why I had failed. I never should have tried to take his rush head on. When the instructor shouted "begin" for a second time, I quickly started throwing jabs I knew wouldn't hit, carefully measuring the distance between us, the equivalent of firing test shots to zero a rifle. Once I had a solid grasp of the space separating us, I began to move quickly around him, swaying from side to side, imitating a sniper unpredictably changing location after every shot. It was more effective than I'd hoped. Whether you're sniping or fist fighting, circling swiftly around a stationary central target makes it extremely hard for them to land an effective shot. I mixed feints into my pattern of attack, trying to create an opportunity to close the distance, but my opponent was much larger than me. His reach was too long. I was basically pointing a handgun at a cannon. If he landed a single solid punch on me before I got in range, my advantage would instantly be reversed. Alright, there's his tactical mind coming out. Once he had me in a slugging match, nothing I could do would prevent a massacre. The best I could manage was to stay in constant motion, to keep myself from carelessly hesitating and taking that first fatal hit. Keep moving. Always stay diagonal to your opponent. It took a full week for me to learn those basic lessons, and even afterwards, I usually left the daily hand-to-hand sessions battered and bruised. Jesus, motherfuck. That day, too, the sparring ended with me beaten black and blue. Lying flat on the ground with my limbs spread wide, I felt the earth rotating underneath me.
大丈夫？怪我を見せて。
Who the fuck are you now? We're just gonna keep getting introduced to more characters, huh? Ooh, God. I gotta be right back, guys. I gotta both go to the washroom and also get something to drink, so I will be R.A.B. And I am back. So, also, Nick, Mochi, if you guys are still around, and even PJ, if you're still around, how's the new mic sound? This is the second stream I've had using it now. Everything sound all nice, crystal clear, cool. Sounds really good? Good, good. Poor Solocast died on me, essentially. The thing was just having static upon static upon static. I got the Razer Siren V2X. Yeah. Better that sounded like... better than sound like you're at an aquarium. Oh my god, that was awful. Oh, I'm glad you guys said something. I'm so glad everyone said that it was going terribly. I don't know why it died. Oh, this poor Solocast. It held out as long as it could, though. It went through many a stream. But, well, we gotta retire it now. So yeah, went with Nichols' suggestion. I might look into it myself. So far, I recommend it. You got the gain control on it right there, so you don't have to control it from inside any software. You can do it all here. Sure, there's no actual indication on how far it's turned, so yeah. But it's nice. I don't have any filters on it right now either. No noise suppression, no nothing. So this is just pure unfiltered me. Still works with my boom arm, which was great. So I didn't have to get another one of those. What was it called again? I'll put it in the chat. It's the Razer Siren V2X. Yeah. Yeah, Nichols recommended the Razer Siren X. I looked it up on Amazon. This is the first thing that came up, so they're thinking this is a newer version of the one they have, because I always liked how they sounded through their mic, because it never seemed to peak. It captured their voice absolutely perfectly every time for the, 3 years they've been streaming with it. So I figured, how about I get one of those two now? My mic's been iffy lately, so it might be time to replace it soon. Yeah. Has physical mute button, which is nice, and again, physical gain control. So it's really good. It's nice. I like it. I like it so far. Again, second stream I've used with it. And everyone's saying it's been glowing. Like, it's been great. So yeah, it's got my seal of approval. That's why my throat's a little bit better for later streams. We'll see how it goes when I do go a bit more, bombastic. But for now, it is good. I am happy. So let's continue on a little bit more with this. Probably sympathizing with the way I passively endured those one-sided beatings. A young woman approached me with a first aid kit in her hands. I can't remember her face very well after all this time, but I'm pretty sure her name was Marin. She didn't have any memories of her past. Not where she'd come from, not why she was in this school, not what she'd be doing next. But then again, I was just as blind to my own future. I didn't get the feeling that Baron pitied me because of our similarities. Still, for whatever reason, she helped me out many times after that day. When I was injured in training, she treated my wounds. When I lost a fight and had to run through dinner as a penalty, she set aside her food and shared it with me. Even in a place like that, full of twisted outcasts, there were some people who showed kindness to others. Looking at it that way, maybe it's too early to give up on the world entirely. Not everyone's a saint, but we're not all villains either. The strong might get ahead, but even a weakling like me could find a helping hand. There are plenty of bastards out there I'll never get along with, but every once in a while, I can find someone who's willing to put up with me. That's the way it is for everyone. I'm not gonna complain. At times, I'd find myself remembering something Kazuki told me once.
あのね、ユージ。嫌なものを片っ端から排除していけば、いい世の中になるなんて考え方が許されるのは、小学生か独裁者ぐらいよ。まあ、実際あなたは小学生なのだから、惨めで無様に泣き叫んで、誰かが何とかしてくれるのを待つのも許されるような気もするけれど、私の弟としては許されません。あなたも私の弟なら、文句を言う前に行動なさい。でも、どうしてもダメだという時には、私が何とでもするし、何とかしてあげる。あなた、私の弟でよかったわね。
Oh my
お
god.
姉ちゃん、ありがとうわ。
Thank you, Onei-chan. Right. When Kazuki was alive, I could try anything I wanted. I was allowed to fail. But without her, I had lost that safety net. I could cry all I wanted, but Kazuki wouldn't hear me. I had to do everything by myself now. Counting on others would get you betrayed. Hoping for the best would leave you disappointed. You were the only thing you could truly rely on, and sometimes you had to distrust even yourself. That's the sort of place this was. There were strange things going on in that school. People were always disappearing with no explanation, and sometimes the most rebellious students would abruptly become completely passive and docile, as if their personality had transformed overnight. By the way, I don't know if you knew, but in the unrated version there was a... I'm gonna assume it's an extension of the scene where they're in the bath. Because I got that scene, and well, a lot of people were there for that, me trying to awkwardly censor part of it. Because I was just a little uncomfy. Okay, good. My instincts proved me right. And am I surprised? Not really. Not really. It's that kind of game. The opposite wasn't uncommon either. Timid, quiet kids becoming strangely aggressive for no reason. There were all sorts of suspicious incidents along those lines. But this place had been suspicious enough from the start, and at this point, our classes were covering things you can't read about in any textbook. It made me see Kazuki in a lesser light, I won't lie. Yeah. I mean, she wasn't gonna allow him to love anyone because, you know, sister. It was like, why do you need to care about any other girl when you have me? The school was a machine for the creation of terrorists. We were just the raw materials. Every once in a while, I'd receive special lessons directly from Heath Oslo himself.
いいかいユージ。暗殺者というとどうしても重火器を使うイメージがある。だがそれはナンセンスだと思わないかい?
Field stripping was the topic of the lesson that day. After thoroughly disassembling an automatic rifle, I was to line up its pieces neatly on the ground, then accurately reassemble them as quickly as possible. Oslo had begun to speak as I quietly sat at the task.
武器を持った相手の対処法として一応は教えるが、君は銃なんて無粋なものを使う必要はない。弾がなくなれば殴るぐらいしか使い物にならないような道具に依存するな。やはり刃物だよ。 いや、刃物である必要すらない。もっと単純に尖っているものなら何でもいいんだ。
Okay. With those words, Heath Oslo pulled me away from the lesson to train in knife combat, his own personal specialty. The most primitive method of murder. The means to experience the sensation of taking a life in the most direct possible way. He drilled that knowledge into me with a single-minded zeal. And as we trained, he laid bare my mental weakness as well.
ユージ、君はこの世の中で生きていくには優しすぎるんだ。無意識の君。君の本能はあんなにも息汚いというのに。どうして殺さなければ殺される。だから殺される前に殺す。それが唯一のルールだ。
Kill or be killed. Lovely.
死にたくなければ殺せ。一歩でも世の中に出れば周りは敵だらけだ。家族ですら敵だった君が理解できないわけじゃないだろう。そして君は今まで何度も敵を倒すことで生き残ってきた。正義は勝つのではない。勝った者が正義なのだとは陳腐なセリフだが、それは真理さ。
Oh God.
負けて殺されてしまった者はもう何も語れないのだから、勝った者だけが正当性を主張できる。当たり前のことだ。だから殺される前に殺せ。生きて私のところへ帰ってこい。それだけだ。簡単だろ？
His words were a curse laid carefully on my heart. There was no contact with the outside. No information entered that place. Not truth, not even lies. And at the center of this sealed-off little world, there was always Heath Oslo. His words were absolute, unquestionable, and I was a faithful toy that moved mechanically in response to his orders. At some point, I began receiving experimental medication at a military research laboratory Oslo apparently owned. As I grew used to fending for myself in the harsh environment of the training camp, I grew stronger, tougher in mind and body. In the mountain winter, I learned the rough fortitude necessary to eat when there's no food to be had. From my lessons, I learned how to make bombs that couldn't easily be defused. Though Oslo calls the justice phrase a bit cliched, when in other series where you see it used, dudes act like it's a revelation no one has ever thought of before. Oh yeah. History is written by the victors. Yeah, they define justice. Oh, God. Now I'm getting King Oger flashbacks. Which I mean is a good thing, because I like King Oger. Where literally episode 1, the king of the biggest country in that world is just like, well, I'll let the other kingdoms fight the monsters, and then when they're weak, I'll just walk in there and take them all over and rule it. Because that is justice. That is righteousness. I am the true ruler of this. I am real goodness. And then the Red Ranger's like, well, okay, if that's what you call justice, then I'm gonna be evil. I'll fight against your rightfulness, righteousness, and be a tyrant king against you. It's interesting. King Oger is very interesting. Its first arc. Someone who's clearly evil calling what he does justice, and someone who's clearly good calling himself evil. Because he's fighting against said justice. Sorry, I just had to drop the King Oger lore in there because, you know, I like it. I like my Sentai. Didn't think bugs and, kings would be a good combo, but apparently it really is. I learned how to parachute and scuba dive so I can infiltrate any target under any circumstances. And locked inside a wooden box with nothing but a single cup of water, I learned how to endure suffering. When my battered body reached its limits, they used drugs to force me back to my feet. Killing people efficiently requires thorough knowledge of how the human body is constructed, so naturally, my lessons also included the dissection of human corpses. Oh my god. Heath Oslo seemed pleased with my efforts.
いいぞユージ、君は本当に可愛いやつだ。
Yeah, don't dress him up in girls' clothes again. That was really fucked up, dude.
君のクズ親父と知り合ってよかったと本当にそう思うよ。君を手に入れてよかった、風見ユージ。君は最高だ。
Clapping his hands together, Oslo lavished praise on me. Being complimented made me happy. It might have been the first time I heard words like that from anyone other than my sister or mother. I'd never been praised by an adult man before. Not even once. Even my own father hadn't given me a single compliment. Before I knew it, I was fighting back tears. To be perfectly honest, Oslo's words had become a source of emotional support for me at the time. I wanted to be praised. With that simple motivation, I threw myself into my tasks. This was all I was good for. There wasn't anything else about me worth complimenting. It was the only way I could be useful. Not that I understood how I was being useful, or for what purpose. If I tried to think about it, my head would start hurting. After about 6 months at that school, I was no longer giving myself headaches worrying about the details.
風見ユージの成績がいいようだね。
According to the data gathered by the technicians at Oslo's research facility, I'd produced above-average results in a remarkably brief period of time. The researchers seemed to believe it was an effect of the doping regime they had administered, but Oslo himself was convinced my natural talent had simply come to the surface. Either way, they decided I was ready for my final test. The so-called graduation exam. On that day, I was presented with my final lesson in hand-to-hand combat. The test was extremely simple. I'd pass as long as I brought about the death of my opponent. There weren't any other rules. Oh boy. And in an ugly twist of fate, that opponent was Marin. Oh great, he's got to kill the one person who gave him comfort. No. Fate probably wasn't involved in retrospect. I imagine they deliberately paired people off with their most intimate friend in the facility, as a way of forcing us to gain the resolve to sacrifice everything for our objective. Yeah, Ruby made a little bit of an appearance. In this place, when you had a bad feeling about something, it was usually realized. That's how it was designed.
肉親ですらその手にかけた君だ。今さら顔見知りの一人ぐらい殺したところでどうということはないだろう?
It's true enough. No use trying to lie to myself. In the first place, it wasn't exactly uncommon for students to die over the course of their training. Not to mention the casualties from spontaneous fights and punishments inflicted by groups of fellow students. Just the previous week, there had been a guy who committed suicide after being relentlessly bullied over his poor results. And then there was the new kid who made a habit of wandering the halls at night moaning loudly. Guess he got the attention of our veterans. Someone found him in the bathroom one morning with his face submerged in a toilet. In this place, the wall separating life from death was thin and fragile. But even so, killing someone we'd lived with for months in cold blood was a different story. Even if we didn't have anything in the way of team spirit, murdering a person you'd gotten to know is even more difficult than you might imagine. Therefore, our instructors gave all graduation candidates a stimulant, telling us it was a drug that would sharpen our kinetic vision and boost our reflexes. The results varied widely. Some people became so agitated they could barely sit still, snapping into pointless rages over things that normally wouldn't bother them, and snarling at the slightest provocation. But others were so busy processing the sudden flood of sensory information that they actually appeared unnaturally calm. I suppose I was in the latter group. And Marin, my opponent, was definitely in the former. Okay, so she's coming to kill him just because she's pissed off thanks to this drug. In any case, they said I needed to kill her if I wanted to graduate, so that was what I'd have to do. As the two of us faced off, I couldn't find anything to say to the person I was about to fight to the death. Maybe it was the same for Marin. Or maybe she no longer even cared. Most likely, it was the latter. Even if the girl standing in front of me was technically Marin, something else was controlling her mind now. Her eyes, darting restlessly back and forth, probably weren't seeing anything more than an enemy in front of her. Hey, Tenpa, how's it going? Welcome on in. Marin breathed in rough, quick gasps, as if to expel the heat gathered inside her body. It was obvious at a glance how agitated she was. Cue mini-boss music. There was no referee for this match. No instructor to shout, "Begin," or "That's enough." It wouldn't end until one of us was dead. Spitting out her red-hot anger in a scream, Marin suddenly threw herself forward. She surged toward me, her limbs outstretched to the limit, cutting through the air. She put her weight on her left leg, twisting the upper half of her body to balance herself. She swung her right leg with all her strength, viciously, not even considering the possibility of a counterattack. I could see all of it, every movement flowing into the next, as if I was watching a slow-motion film. Marin's knee shot out, and in the next moment, her leg curved upward, toes stretching toward my face. God damn! Just, god damn! Not an easy kick to defend, given the quick transition from a straightforward jab to an arcing trajectory, but I had seen it many times in training. Her precise execution actually made it easier to anticipate. I raised my guard, shielding my face, chin, and neck. Marin's right leg instantly smacked against my crossed arms. Marin's kick was heavier than I'd expected. Her pivot leg turned sharply in the opposite direction with the force of delivering it. My arm screamed from the impact. In the same instant, she twisted her leg violently to slip around my defense, striking the back of my head with her toes. For a moment, my vision went blurry. Marin showed absolutely no hesitation, even delivering a kick that could easily have left her leg broken and useless. But it wasn't anything worth worrying about. In physical strength, reaction speed, and tactical judgment alike, I was significantly superior to Marin. I just had to take her first attack, then land an accurate counter. That was all. Sorry about this, Marin. The kick had left her perched on one awkwardly planted leg. An apology to the young woman who had been kind to me echoing inside my strangely cold mind, I twisted my body and drove my right knee at her before she could regain her balance. My kneecap slammed into Marin's face. Something gave way. I must have shattered her nasal bones. Jesus! Stimulated by the impact, I felt a wave of energy surge through every muscle in my body. So is it done yet? No, it's not done yet. How you doing, Aruka? Marin's body swayed and wobbled like a spinning top running out of momentum. If she collapsed now, it would be easy enough to finish this. She couldn't be thinking too clearly after taking that sort of hit to the head. There wasn't much risk of her luring me in and going for a grappling move. And yet... Marin didn't fall. With a fierce scream, she forcibly tied her fading consciousness to reality through sheer force of will. Damn it! Her arm lashed out reflexively, lightly grazing my right temple. It was such a wild lunge that it was hard to imagine how she expected to hit me. Maybe she was moving on pure instinct by now. Just like before, there was no sign she was even considering defense. Oh my god. We're watching children just, like, bare-knuckle brawl each other to the death. Jesus. Oh my god. Doing that to do that. Yeah, let's see the progress. How much percent do we have? 86% to go. 86% to go for Yuji's story, and then we have everything else. We got a long way to go, Aruka. A long way. To be honest, I think the progression bar was a good addition. Yeah, honestly, it is. It's nice to know where you stand. I'm barely 50. I'm not even a quarter through this. Yeah, granted, this is like the third, fourth stream of Grisaia, of Labyrinth I've done. I would have killed for that in the first game, just to see how far I was in each route. I spun easily around her unguarded right flank and landed another knee strike. The blow landed so deeply I could feel Marin's kidney twitch and curl up inside her. Her abdominal muscles contracted sharply. It was obvious she hadn't been remotely prepared to take that hit. A kick like that hurts so badly it feels like someone's jabbed a knife into your internal organs. Oh my god. I'd experienced it myself more than once. The instant that pain registers, the world goes pure white. You instinctively grab your side and fall to your knees. Marin was gasping for breath, her mouth open wide. But it didn't help that her nasal cavity was completely blocked with blood. Instinctively stooped over to protect her stomach, chin thrust out defensively as she gulped down oxygen, the girl almost seemed to be asking for a finishing blow. I'll put you out of your misery. With that thought running through my mind, I landed a right hook to Marin's chin. Her head rocked on the axis of her neck like a dummy. The mass of brain cells floating inside her skull jolted wildly back and forth. Marin's eyes instantly spun backward in their sockets. She had to be unconscious, but she still didn't fall. What the hell? Relentlessly, I drove a second punch into her chin.
Come on! Banana war! Banana!
An anonymous user gifted a tier 1 sub to Aruka 1273.
Thank you, Anonymous, for gifting Aruka a sub. I appreciate that a lot. Thank you so much. Enjoy the emotes.
Come on! Banana or... Banana! Banana! Banana!
An anonymous user gifted a tier 1 sub to Mochi Kamavd.
And thank you again, Anonymous, for gifting a sub to Mochi. Appreciate it a lot. You don't have to do that, but I appreciate it. Thank you. Alright, Aruka, Mochi. Enjoy your emotes and ad-free viewing. What are you facepalming for, Nick? What are you facepalming for? What's up, Aruka? Surprisingly, I can tell that wasn't Golden. I think Golden would have just, made it obvious that it was them. But yes, thank you so much, Anonymous. We love Anonymous over here. They like to just kind of appear. They like to just appear, drop some subs, and disappear. Like a breeze in the wind. Or a leaf in the wind. Something mysterious and cool that I completely fucked up because I'm an idiot. Yeah, well, thank you, Anonymous. Yeah, thank you so much, Anonymous. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So yeah, enjoy a month of my emotes and no ads. I don't have many emotes, but I do have some emotes. I do have some emotes. I do need to get some more, though. I do want to get more. I just gotta figure out what the fuck I want. Relentlessly, I drove a second punch into her chin, then a third. But even so, Marin wouldn't go down. Her mouth hung open limply. The punches might have dislocated her jaw. Oh my god. Spittle flowed down her chin. Her eyes, completely unfocused, spun aimlessly around. But Marin didn't fall. God damn it! Somehow, she must have been clinging on to one last scrap of willpower, knowing that she'd die if her knees touched the ground. No matter how she reeled and swayed, Marin stayed on her feet.
Banana or...
Anonymous!
Banana! Banana! Banana!
An anonymous user gifted a tier 1 sub to Tenpa.
Thank you again, Anonymous, for gifting a sub to Tenpa! Thank you so much. She did not have to do that, but thank you. There you go, Tenpa. You get to enjoy a sub. Hi, Ruby. Don't worry, I'm finishing up soon. Probably right after this scene, I'll save and end for the night. Okay, honey? Okay? Thank you so much for playing Baron's game. They ain't super crazy emotes. They're simple. They're simple emotes that I have. Most of which made by the wonderful Ginger Snap Cyrus. Great VTuber that I've been watching for quite a while. Hitting won't do it. I'll just throw her off balance. That inhuman toughness was starting to frighten me. Resisting the urge to scream, I reached up and shoved heavily against Marin's shoulders, trying to push her to the ground. Recently bought Super Mario Wonder in Nier Automata. Oh, cool. I also got Super Mario Wonder. I also have a Switch now. Thanks to my wonderful, wonderful girlfriend, we bought a Switch together. And Super Mario Wonder was one of the first games we bought for it. And then a few others. Did you play it either? I also have Nier Automata on Steam. I just haven't installed or played it yet. I will at some point. It's on the list of games to play, specifically on stream. Because of course it is. But that list is, you know, very long and vast. I'm actually playing Wonder right now. Nice. It's pretty fun. The elephant mode is just, you know, interesting. You just become a big ol' elephant. I'm amazed it goes to everyone can use that. It's not a Super Crown thing. Everyone uses the elephant. In that moment, I found myself looking straight into her face. Her battered, swollen, ghastly face, dark with bruises, red with blood. That face woke up something that had been lying latent inside me, and suddenly my body wasn't moving like I wanted it to. Oh God. That face. I'd seen that face before. It was the face of my mother. The one I'd seen at the very end. Someone had stabbed a rod of ice into the center of my heart. I trembled uncontrollably at the sudden cold inside me. What am I doing? Hitting a woman until she looks like this? How am I any different from him? And as the spectators screamed for me to kill, I flashed vividly back to the moment when I'd struck my father. I couldn't move. My knees shook like branches in the wind. I wanted to fall to the ground and curl up in a ball. Finally, crouching where I stood, I abandoned the fight entirely. It was no good. I was no good. I couldn't kill her. I could tell that was Oslo screaming. Oh my God. It was kill or be killed. But I couldn't do it. I just couldn't. Mortal Kombat 12 DLC UG. God damn it. She's lost it. As Marin's frenzied laughter rang out, the situation reversed completely. My deranged, drugged classmate kicked and punched me countless times, drunk on one-sided violence. As I lay there enduring the pain, so overwhelming I thought my skin would burst from its intensity. This is my punishment. This is what I deserve for hurting a woman. I was used to pain. All I had to do was endure it, and it would end eventually. In the end, I couldn't do anything else. Story of my life. Resigned to my fate, passively accepting the rain of blows, I heard a familiar voice shouting out from somewhere far away.
どうしたユージ、今さら何人殺そうが同じことだ。立て戦え。
戦い。戦い。戦い. She's on a drug. She could die from an overdose. Well, Yuji's also on the drug. They both got drugged. Both of them got drugged. She's just gone manic while he went calm. More Kamen Rider references, just being told Tatakai, fight. Thank you, Kamen Rider Ryuki, for that. Oslo was shrieking from the crowd, ordering me to stand. But not even he could move me now.
なんてこった。まったく幼児君ってやつは。
Watching Marin beat me to the verge of death, Oslo pinched the corners of his eyes in obvious disappointment. Although I did somehow manage to survive, I was left badly injured and completely immobilized. The staff proceeded to unceremoniously toss me into the school's underground treatment facility. That name might give you the wrong impression. The place was basically a dungeon where they left the severely wounded to rot. Lying flat on the floor, I felt the cold concrete quickly absorbing the heat from my inflamed skin. It felt wonderful. Even so, it occurred to me that if I let myself fall asleep like this, I'd almost certainly never wake up again. Doesn't sound so bad. If I died down here, Marin would get to graduate. Seemed a little pathetic for me to be searching for meaning in my defeat, but at the very least, Marin would get out of this insane place. I had to focus on that fact. My own existence would become so completely pointless, I might just go crazy. I didn't receive any real treatment down there. I was just laying on the ground like a discarded rag when Marin came to visit me, having regained her sanity when the effect of the drugs faded. A few hours must have passed by that point. Waking up to the sensation of a damp, hot towel scrubbing my face, I was surprised to find my right eye wouldn't open. In fact, I couldn't even lift my face from the ground. My blood had congealed around me, literally gluing my skin and hair to the concrete. Ugh.
本当にごめんなさい。
Mumbling words of apology, Marin carefully wiped my face with a towel, cleaning off the hardened blood. Sleeping on the bare floor must have severely lowered my body temperature. The hot fabric felt incredibly good. As she tended to my injuries, Marin sniffled quietly and spoke again.
どうしてこんなことになっちゃったんだろうね。
Because even after all of this, he still has a conscience? I guess? I don't know. I don't know, man. I don't know, guys. It was the last thing I wanted to hear. Those are the same words my mother had left behind in her suicide note. Words of surrender, offering nothing but despair and weakness. But it's not like I had an answer to them, so I responded only with silence. I don't know how Marin interpreted my attitude. Whatever the case, she returned to that basement room the next day and the next, quietly treating my injuries as if it was her duty.
調子はどう？何か食べられそう？
Why is she, like... No, Aruka, we're not done yet. Let me do a quick savey save and check our progress. Oh, look at that! We're still... Shut the fuck up, Michiru. We're still only 14% of the way through the game. We've made no progress, apparently. None whatsoever. Despite playing for two and a quarter hours so far. You know those I'm taking those bananas. When I remember the progress only moves after a scene is finished, I figured as much, in all honesty. I figured. But still not gonna stop me from taking the points. So yeah, those points are mine. Give me those bananas. They're mine, Aruka. I'm not hungry.
少しでも何か食べないと怪我が治らないよ。胃が空っぽのままじゃ薬も飲めないし。
Well, the scene kind of didn't end fully, I think? I don't know. I'm a little invested to see where this goes. I'll end shortly and soon. I don't want any medicine either.
どうして？
It's ridiculously bitter.
バカね。薬が苦いのは当たり前でしょ。安心して。毒じゃないわ。ほら、私が飲んでみせるから。ね。
With that, Marin swallowed a mouthful of the liquid medicine she'd brought for me. OMG, Yuji saying he's not hungry awakened a memory of one of the funniest Goku scenes ever. Oh my god. I'm not hungry. Goku saying he's not hungry means there's something wrong with him.
何これ、本当に苦い。
Buckley's. Tastes awful, and it works. Told you so. Stupid.
本当、ひどい味ね。でも、飲めば炎症が治まって、ちゃんと眠れるようになるから、飲んで。あと、食事も。ほら、口を開けて。
I'll feed myself.
そう言って、この前も全然食べなかったじゃない。一人じゃ起き上がることもできないくせに。いいから口を開けるのよ。ほら。
How many days had passed since Marin's first visit to the basement? It might have been the first time I talked so much with another person since I arrived at the school. The place was full of people with bitter and traumatic pasts just like me. So the unspoken rule was to keep your distance. Our private lives and personal stories were off limits. School in quotation marks. They're being trained to be terrorists. It's just a bunch of kids that come from traumatic backgrounds and pasts, and they're being trained to become a terrorist. Yeah, learning to make bombs and shit. Yeah. Yeah, and that's why their final exam to graduate was literally kill, your opponent. I call it camp. Of course, Marin had absolutely no memories of the past to begin with. That actually made it easier to get by here. It was completely normal to her, and she didn't seem to be bothered by it. After examining my injuries in silence for a few minutes, Marin suddenly asked me a question.
あなたはどうしてあんな男に拾われたの?
I didn't understand. Why ask about my circumstances now, after all this time? The question felt so strange that I couldn't find anything to say. What would it change if I told you, Marin? Why does it matter to you? You don't even know the first thing about yourself. Maybe you forgot about the past because it was too painful to remember? Sounds pretty good to me. I'll go with that, too. I don't even want to remember. It wasn't as if anything good would come from remembering. Talking wasn't going to undo what was already done. My life was never going to change unless I changed it myself.
私ね、近いうちにこの学校を卒業することになったの。
Really? Good for you.
うん。でも、
this place would mean working as a pawn of Oslo. But no matter what was waiting for us, I figured it had to be better than aimlessly circling around this sewer of a place for the rest of our lives. Don't worry about me. Once you get out of this place, try to just forget about me. And everything else that happened here. Whatever they make you do, that should make it a lot easier.
私、戦うのは苦手。人を傷つけないで生きていければ、それが一番いいのにね。
So does everyone else. When you hurt people, you might get hurt. When you kill people, you might get killed. Nobody wants to live in a world where the only options are to take a life or lose your own. But if you want to survive, you can't avert your eyes. The people who run away from reality die first. Just giving this wonderful knowledge, apparently. Frickin' everything right now is... Oh my god, Aruka, you squished my crying. My laughing, I mean. The way I'd broken down after seeing my mother in Marin's bloody face was a good case in point.
じゃあ、また来るから。
With those words, Marin left the basement. But she didn't visit me the next day. She didn't come the day after that either. Or even the day after that. At that point, I finally understood. Marin had graduated and left this place behind. Those words hadn't been a casual goodbye. Their real meaning was, if I survive, I'll come see you again. Marin wins. Brutality. Alright. Alright, now I will end it. Now I will end there. That was good. That's a good spot to end off on. I would say, personally. Alright, I can close that out. Ooh. Ooh, God, yeah. Alright, there. We finally got some more Grisaia in again. Finally. Finally, we're making progress at least. We're finally making progress. That's what I'm happy about. We're finally making progress in the game after having to cancel so many Grisaia streams. So I'm pleased. I'm rather pleased. But that is the end of, well, you know, this week's schedule. So we have next week's schedule. What's next week? Well, it's the last week of the month. What happens on the last week of the month, everybody? It's Variety Week once again. I mean, we're starting off tomorrow with no stream just because that's how my work schedule goes. I won't have time for a stream. But it'll officially start Monday with Suika game on the Switch. Me and my girlfriend actually really like that game. She's also much better than me. My girlfriend's a better gamer than me, guys. I mean, I knew I was bad. This just really cements how bad I am. She's just so much better. So yeah, Monday we will play some Suika game for a bit. Tuesday, no stream, just because I think work stuff I have.
Wow.
Thanks, Nick. Thanks a lot for that. But then we'll be back Wednesday at 10 a.m. for, actually for sure, some Yu-Gi-Oh! False Bound Kingdom. The weird, not card game about Yu-Gi-Oh! You guys will see. Thursday at 10, we'll be playing Valhalla, the cyberpunk bartending game that was gifted to me by Gardantora quite a while ago. Finally getting around to another one of the games they gifted to me. So, you can say that stream is brought to us by Gardantor. Friday evening, we'll play a little bit of Shadows of the Empire. Another one of those well-liked, well-beloved Star Wars games from way back when. And then we end off Variety Week in the morning with Metal Gear. The original Metal Gear. Because I bought the Metal Gear collection for Switch, Volume 1, so I have Metal Gear 2, English Metal Gear, North American Metal Gear, Snake's Revenge, Metal Gear Solid 2, and Metal Gear Solid 3. Look at that. That's 7 games. I'll probably only play 5 of them. I don't know. We'll see how I feel about Snake's Revenge and the North American version of Metal Gear. I probably won't bother with the North American version of Metal Gear because it's practically the same game, if I remember correctly. It's just they changed out some shit. I could be wrong, though. But at the very least, we'll play the actual originals that are translated, so we can get that real, true Metal Gear experience. Going from Metal Gear all the way to Metal Gear Solid 3, even though that's a prequel, but there's also some Metal Gear Raiden game. I do have Rising Revengeance. I will be completely honest, I now have, out of all the Metal Gear games that are out, the only ones I do not actually have are Metal Gear Solid 4 and Portable Ops. That are, canon games. I don't count Metal Gear Acid and shit. So yeah, and following the actual proper Metal Gear timeline there, I do not have Metal Gear Solid 4 and Portable Ops. Those are the only two I don't have. I have Peace Walker, I have Ground Zeroes, Phantom Pain, Rising Revengeance, and now I got technically I now have multiple copies of Metal Gear Solids 2 and 3, but that's besides the point. Vengeance will be mine. And the story is not done yet, Aruka, okay? It's not done yet. You gotta be a little more patient, my friend. Be a little bit more patient. For those that missed it last stream, I had something else come in along with a brand new mic. And that was another kit for us to make. For me to make on stream. Motoroid Escaflowne. You can already see Escaflowne, right there on that poster. Now I got him in model kit form, and oh my god, guys, I love this box. Just the box alone looks fucking gorgeous. Like, I've never seen a box look this good. And then while I went Black Friday shopping with my girlfriend, I also managed to pick up one kit. And that would be the Methys from Mobile Suit Zeta Gundam. It's a bit of an older kit. It transforms a bit. And it'll go with the other kits that I have from Zetas. Like the Zeta Gundam itself, the Hyakushiki, and the Gundam Mark II. So we got 2 kits I'll be able to build at some point in the future. The Methys probably won't take too long. It's an old as fuck kit. Let's see. When is it from? 2006! This kit is old. But the Motoroid Escaflowne, this is the one I'm looking forward to the most. I absolutely love Escaflowne. What other anime can you watch where a girl gets isekai to essentially the moon? To a fantasy world on the moon that has giant robots powered by dragon hearts, where the main villain is leading a technological empire, and said main villain is also Sir Isaac Newton, who was also isekai'd, hundreds of years ago, and just kept on living. Yes, Sir Isaac Newton was a bad guy. Is a bad guy. He's the bad guy of an anime. You wanted to subjugate a medieval world full of animal people and dragons And robots powered by crystallized dragon hearts. It's wild. I like it. Escaflowne was my first anime. Discounting Pokemon and Digimon, even Dragon Ball. Discounting those just because I would say Escaflowne is my first anime. Alrighty. So again, that's gonna be it from me for tonight. Now, is there anyone I could send you guys off to? Not really. Not that I can really see. I don't want to keep going to Gingers because I don't want to seem like I'm trying to farm for, you know, people to come watch, going to bigger streamer. Even though I really do like her streams, and she's just awesome and accepting. I don't want to, you know, I don't want to do that too much. I got to do that every once in a while. Maybe I won't. Maybe I won't do a raid tonight. I don't know. Oh, you have a raid recommendation, Nick? Go ahead and... Do I have the thing still here? Yeah, screw it. Don't even use the points. Just, what's your raid recommendation? Fly Kunai 313. Let's see. Wait, is that actually a Naruto Boruto on Ultimate Ninja Storm Connect? Oh my... They made a Boruto fighting game? A Boruto branded fighting game? Well then. I don't know how to feel about that. Yeah, it looks like they're running a tournament right now. Or going to run a tournament. Or both. Though it also looks like they're running into some technical difficulties. Oh, looks like they might be okay now. Yeah, you know what? Sure, let's do it. Why not, guys? I'm gonna raid and run because I gotta do a few things. Yeah, we'll raid into Fly Kunai. I think it's supposed to be like both Naruto and Boruto, like a mix of both. Just seeing the Boruto name on there just already gives me like, oh really? Really? Fucking Boruto? Yeah, so feel free to use one of those two, raid commands if you so choose. Now, let's see what happens. You guys probably see some decent matches potentially. Looks like this is a community tournament too. Number 2, it looks like. So it seems like they got a few of these. This might be the second of this specific game, possibly. So that's pretty cool. Alright, so yeah. Again, thank you everyone for watching, commenting, lurking, and also thank you again, Anonymous, for those 3 gifted subs. Appreciate that a lot. My bitrate is going to shit. I gotta end, like, now. So, I hope you all have yourselves a great rest of your night. And let's send the love all the way off to Fly Kunai.